Welcome to the Average Outdoors channel here in my little kitchen. Today we are going to do one of my yearly winter traditions, and that is to make the world's best coffee liqueur. Now, if you're like me and you're a coffee lover, you generally are going to like a good White Russian, and that is no exception here. The way I'm going to make my coffee liqueur, for one, is using cold brew. So what I've got here is a combined total of 12 cups water. This is just tap water. It works great for me. And then the coffee that I'm using is really up to you. I've used a wide variety of coffee. This is the stuff that I like to drink every morning. This is my favorite, just Morning Joe. And I usually am not a huge fan of dark coffee, but this coffee in particular has a really nice, strong, bold flavor without being overly bitter. And I really like that. And so I'm going to pair that with the vanilla flavor. Now, I really like the vanilla flavor in my coffee liqueur. It kind of gives it a sweetness without actually having to add any extra sugar. And Starbucks is definitely my favorite vanilla flavored coffee, but if you want to use a different coffee, feel free to experiment around. You definitely cannot go wrong. I've made this a lot of different times. I've used plenty of different coffees, and every single time it turns out really well. Now, you are going to need some high proof alcohol. You can use a lower proof alcohol if that's all you can get your hands on, but you will have a more diluted product to achieve the same ABV as what we're going to get here. And then for a little extra flavor, I like to use some real vanilla extract and then just a touch of coconut extract. Gives it something special. Then, of course, to sweeten it all up, we're just going to use simple cane brown sugar. To make my cold brew coffee, I'm going to use half of this dark roast and half of the vanilla. And I have 12 cups of water here. And the ratio that I'm using is 1 ounce of coffee grounds to 1 cup of water. And so these are 12-ounce packages, and so I'm just going to do half this package, half that package. I'll mix it up here in this empty bucket, and then we'll put it in the water and let it sit for 24 hours. We've got our 2 different coffees in here. Just going to mix those up with a spoon. And then we're going to dump it in our water. And I'm hoping this will all fit. If not, I'll have to get a third container. That'll be fine. Hold on here. I'm gonna give these guys both a quick stir, and then you can either leave them in the refrigerator or you can just leave them out in the open. I've done it both ways and really haven't found a difference between the two. Now that we've got these all mixed up, we're just going to let them sit for 24 hours, come back tomorrow, strain them, mix them up. It's the next day, and our cold brew coffee is done. You can see from this little plunger that I've kind of been agitating this. And with this jar, I've kind of been giving it a shake every now and again. Nothing too religious, but something to keep it nice and mixed. Now I'm going to strain it out. I've just got your standard strainer, and then I want a little bit more filter, so I'm going to throw in this coffee filter. I'm going to get all of this cold brew coffee into the pot, and then I'll mix it with the sugar, and we'll get it on the stove. This is really the wrong filter. You'd want one of the circular filters, not one of these cone filters, but we'll see how it goes. I'm probably going to have to change this filter out a couple times. Yeah, this is going to take a while. But the price you pay for good stuff. So we're going to let this go. See if I can just set it here. Perfect. And let that percolate. Last little bit here. Next ingredient is our brown sugar, and I know this doesn't seem like a lot, but we're putting the entire 2-pound bag in here. That's 4 cups, roughly 2 pounds. And we're gonna set this all in here and then get on the stove just enough. You don't want to boil it, but you want to get hot enough just to dissolve all that sugar. Got this set on 3 out of 10, which is about low, medium low. And we're just gonna keep stirring it until we pull out the spoon and there's no more of the sugar. Shouldn't take too long. A little time has passed and all the sugar is completely dissolved. It's ready to pull this off the heat. And I'm just gonna let this cool down just a smidge before we add the alcohol. So I've got this essentially what's a simple syrup, coffee syrup. I'm going to add to it some vanilla if I can open this up. Here we go. And in the past I've done as much as 6 tablespoons of vanilla, but it gets really expensive. So I'm just going to do 1 tablespoon. I found that the vanilla flavored coffee really does a better job actually of imparting some good vanilla flavor. That stuff does smell good. So 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract, and then this coconut extract is kind of strong stuff, so I'm just going to do a little dash of this. Just a little bit to give it a little something. I've also done amaretto in the past, which gives it a real nice flavor. Okay, so last but not least, you can add yourself some high proof alcohol. I'm estimating this to be about, spill a little bit here. The ABV on this is going to be around 17%, which is right where I want it. I do not think this is a strong enough alcohol content to really be self-sanitizing, so the bottles, you could reuse this bottle, which I've done in the past, it just doesn't look very cool. So I went and I grabbed all my bottles and I used Star San to sanitize them, same stuff I used for like brewing mead and ciders. So this is all mixed up, this is it, this is the final product, and I'm just going to pour this back into my bottles here. I went and cleaned out this container. It's got a nice spout for pouring out of this into the bottles. Doesn't go so well. So I'm going to pour the mixture in here, the liqueur, into my pitcher, and then we'll get the pitcher going back into it, and then it'll be done. This stuff stays shelf stable for a long time. I've actually had this stuff about 2 years. I think I gave it to my parents who never used it, and then I went to their place and made up some White Russians. It's about 2 years old, and it almost tasted better than it does fresh. So it does not go bad in the least bit. So I've got a sanitized funnel here. I'm going to pour this without spilling too much, hopefully. And of course we spill some. That's alright. If you pour too slow out of this dumb bucket, or this pan, it just runs down the bottom, so you kind of got to start it fast. Anyways. Here we have our final product. The final yield on this is 1 gallon of cold brew coffee liqueur. That is 5/5 of alcohol. My total spending on this was about $25, and so it comes out to $5 per fifth, which is astronomically cheaper than a bottle of Kahlua. And let me tell you, this stuff tastes so much better than Kahlua. When I first made this product, I actually did a blind taste test with about 20 different people. I was at a party and I did a blind taste test, and not a single person chose Kahlua over the cold brew. Kahlua, after you actually taste it, doesn't even taste like coffee. This stuff tastes so much better. It's got this awesome smooth vanilla feel. Now let me tell you, it's a little hot right now. You need to give it a little bit of time for that alcohol to kind of blend through and mellow out. So I wouldn't drink this until maybe like 2 or 3 weeks. But it does taste good right now. It's just by itself, it's a little hot. If you mix it, it's not too bad. It's been 2 weeks since we made our coffee liqueur. I'm out here in my barbecue zone. I've got some wings about to go in the bobby, warming up by the fire because it's freezing out here. But I do like a good drink when I'm barbecuing. So here's what I'm gonna do. Here's how I make my White Russian. Start off with the coffee liqueur, about a shot and a half of this. And I just eyeball it. And then we'll come up with some vodka, about a shot. And then I can do half and half, but sometimes what's even better is some coconut milk. Not the sweetened stuff, because you already got plenty of sugar going on here. And get our finger in here, just mix it up because we're fancy. Oh, that is so good. It tastes kind of like melted ice cream. You really get the coconut going on. Trust me, you guys gotta try this out. When we get back to barbecuing, thanks for watching, guys. Take care.